Pulse oximeter. Pulse oximeter. Pulse ox e me ter. What in the world is a pulse oximeter? I mean, if I had to guess, it would probably be this thing that says pulse oximeter on it instead of a brand name. Not a bad guess, right? Anyways.
3, 2, 1.
Hit it. Now, when I open the manual on this thing, yeah, I'm one of those guys who reads the manuals. It says that the main purpose of this thingamajig is to determine the functional oxygen saturation of arterial hemoglobin. Bruh, what does that even mean in English, bro? The functional oxygen saturation of arterial hemoglobin, known in short as SaO2, or oxygen saturation, is the percentage of hemoglobin molecules in the blood of arteries that are carrying oxygen. Okay, even that sounds a bit advanced. Oxygen saturation is basically the fraction of hemoglobin containing molecules that are carrying oxygen from the heart to the rest of the body over the total amount of molecules that are able to carry oxygen. Hemoglobin is a protein in these molecules that allows red blood cells to grab onto oxygen molecules. So basically, the purpose of this pillbox looking thing right here is to test how well your blood can carry oxygen to the rest of your body, so you can do all sorts of cool stuff like grow, play air hockey, make awkward YouTube videos, and cellular and respirate cellularly. Right then, let's see what this device looks like when you put it on and measure for oxygen saturation. Right, let's turn this thing on. Press the on button. What is this? Wow, this looks a bit crazy. Let's take a look at it up close. So here's me when I put it on. The measurement on the very top is your oxygen saturation, which is what we were literally just talking about. How crazy is that? The measurement just below that is your pulse rate, aka your heartbeat, which is measured in beats per minute. Yeah, I know my pulse is a bit slow right now. It's been a long day at the office. But hey, when we reach 20 subscribers, you best believe that pulse rate is going through the roof. And that third little measurement at the very bottom that says PI% does not stand for pass interference percentage. Instead, it's talking about your perfusion index, which is used to show the strength of the signal you're receiving from the pulse in your finger. It's really good for gauging whether the signal you're currently getting is a reliable, strong signal, or if you need to fix things up to get a bit more high percentage. And to top it all off, we got some vitals snuck in the right and bottom of the screen, just to give you that hospital vibe. That purple bar over yonder is showing the pulse occurring at a visual rate. And that signal on the very bottom, just under the PI%, is supposed to be like some poor man's ECG, which is used to show the signal of the pulse. But it doesn't really do that, it just seems like it has a mind of its own right here. Right, that's pretty much all there is to interpreting this machine. There's not really much to it. Now, let's get into how it works. You are entering the pulse oximeter in 3, 2, 1. First area of business. Look inside here, see this bottom window? In just a few seconds, this window is going to emit light at 2 different wavelengths, red and infrared. Like that. Well, technically, you'll be able to see the red light. You can't see the infrared because our eyes can't see light at that wavelength. But basically, these 2 lights are going to shine into your finger, through it, towards the blood cells rushing inside. If there are any blood cells in the way of the light, these cells are going to absorb that light. The red blood cells carrying the oxygen are going to absorb the red light, and the red blood cells not carrying any oxygen are going to absorb the scary, invisible infrared light. Second order of business, look up. See that window right there? Yep, that one right there. So that second window is going to try to capture any light that made it through the gauntlet that you call your finger. It's going to try to capture any light that wasn't absorbed by any red blood cells, including both the red and the infrared light. And it'll record the amount of red light and infrared light that makes it to that window. Once this data is collected, the device will do something absolutely magical, and it'll be able to calculate the fraction of blood cells carrying hemoglobin, as well as the red blood cells not carrying hemoglobin, based off of the difference in light received by the second window clip. And when you crunch all these numbers together, the pulse oximeter can calculate your oxygen saturation, aka the percentage of red blood cells carrying hemoglobin over the total amount of red blood cells that are able to carry hemoglobin. What about pulse? How do you measure that? How does that work? Well, if you guys knew anything before watching this video, you know that if you're alive, your heart will beat, right? These heartbeats will cause slight changes in the blood flow, so that when the pulse oximeter is looking real close at the amount of red blood cells carrying oxygen and not carrying oxygen, it's going to pick up that the numbers keep changing and fluctuating a little bit. And based off this frequency of these changes, the pulse oximeter is able to give you a pulse reading to the dot. I mean, this device is just amazing. The amount of calculations it can make just off of very simple measurements like, oh, how much light passes through my finger, is amazing. You can get such crazy, very insightful measurements about your body and how it's working, and you can make so many different types of conclusions about your health and about your heart rate and cardiovascular system based off of some very, very simple measurements. So it's a very, very cool device, and I was very happy to be able to review it and learn how it works as well. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If it gets more than 5 likes or someone comments something that isn't a spam, the next video I can make will be breaking this super cool device apart, and we can figure out how it works from there. So let me know and stay tuned for the next one.